Broadcasting live from beautiful, historic Marion, Ohio, it's Now with Scott Spears on WWGH 107.1 FM. Call Scott live on the air anytime at 740-383-9944. No topic is too big or too small. I'm your announcer, the man with the golden voice, Ted Williams. And now, here's your host, Scott Spears.
And as we turn our attention here, what a day it is, because the presidential election of 2020 is rolling right along, day number 3 here. Right now, what we know, Joe Biden has 253 electoral votes. President Trump has 214, but overnight everything swung as Pennsylvania right now is leaning toward Joe Biden with 95% of the vote in. Georgia now leaning toward Joe Biden with 99% of the vote in. Arizona leaning Joe Biden. Nevada leaning Joe Biden. Joe Biden only needs 17 more votes, and he's the president. We turn to my pal for the final 10 minutes today of this program for his thoughts on this. We've wanted to hear him. He is one of the best broadcasters in the business, known for his voice, but he can interview. He can give analysis. He keeps track of everything going on in the world, and boy, we've wanted to hear from him on this subject. The man with the golden voice, Ted Williams. Ted, how are you?
I'm doing well. I love your intros, man. They're always so phenomenal, and God, thank you. Hey, man, it looks like well, you know what? I just left the television set, I have to tell you, and it does look like it's neck and neck all the way around the board. However, it looks like a Biden victory. But God forbid, I don't know whether Trump's going to pull out a gun and shoot Biden or what. But
well, I tell you, Ted, what do you make of this, that the state of Georgia is now leaning toward Joe Biden?
Are all the you say 95% of Georgia's in already?
99%.
Oh, man, okay, that's what they were really hoping on in the Kamala Harris-Biden ticket.
You know, Georgia is not a state that typically goes for the Democrat.
I know it, but they were hoping that Fulton County area, that Atlanta, that immediate area,
It certainly did turn out for them, but here we are, Pennsylvania, that has been the battleground, and as of about 8:30 this morning, it now leans toward Joe Biden.
Yeah, well, I got a dear friend of mine who is on the opposite of that ticket there, and I don't want to create no big havoc in the car, but Biden has a plan. That's all I can say. In most of the situations, what is it called? He said he's a puppet, but here, hold on. Here's a view into politics from my friend David Jones.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Joe Biden does not have a plan. He's a puppet, because the Democratic Party of right now is not the Democratic Party it was 20 or 30 years ago.
Why do you?
It's been taken over by socialists and Marxists.
Why do you think that Joe Biden looks like he's going to pull this out over President Trump?
Well, hopefully that'll come out in the next several days. But I know Trump's got litigation out, but when all of a sudden 100,000 votes were found in one of the states, I forget exactly which one, like 3 in the morning, they found 100,000 votes, and not a single one of them was for Trump. They were all for Biden. That looks awful shady. And one of the states, there were votes counted from people that are deceased. I mean, how fair is that?
Well, honestly, I listened to the president's press conference yesterday, and 2 questions I would have about that is, if people could fix elections like it's being said, why didn't they fix the first one for Hillary?
Well, they tried to. The accusations of all the Russia collusion for Trump, all the evidence came back and pointed that Hillary was behind all that.
Right, but
the Steele dossier and all that, that's why the impeachment, Scott. That's why it failed. They had no evidence against them that was impeachable. All the evidence came back that Hillary was behind that.
Well, I I guess what I would say is, I guess what is confusing me at this particular time is they're talking about the mail-in votes in Pennsylvania and Michigan, but Ohio, we had nearly 50% of our people mailed in votes, and nobody's sending lawyers here. Now, is that because Trump won this state? If that's a flawed system like he said it was, we had almost 50% of our people voted mail-in. Should we be looking at our votes again to see if maybe Biden really won Ohio?
I don't know. I do know I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was talking to a coworker who physically went to the Board of Elections location on Morse Road, and he said it was very, very interesting because people that were evidently identified, people that were holding Trump banners and Trump signs that were evidently pro-Trump, and this came straight from a guy who was there watching it. They were being handed Sharpies, while people that seemed to be pro-Biden were being handed regular pens. And when you went inside, the actual ticket at the top said, "Do not use a Sharpie."
Well, I would have to say this. Was there any chance, under any circumstance, that Donald Trump could have lost this election?
Well, sure. I mean, as Ted said, I'm pro-Trump, but here's the thing: what a lot of people are not seeing, Scott, this election was about something way bigger than Donald Trump and Joe Biden, because the Biden agenda. If you listen to what he and Kamala Harris were saying, they want to totally stack the Supreme Court. They want to do away with fracking, which will eliminate a lot of jobs, and it'll make the prices of gas just soar to possibly double what they are now. They want to get rid of the whole Electoral College. They want to they're going to raise taxes considerably. They're going to totally change and take away all the freedoms that our founding fathers has created this country to have.
Well, I guess what I'm just wondering is that, like I said, is there any circumstance under which people who voted for Trump would believe that he would have lost? Because I guess what I don't understand is every state had mail-in balloting, and nobody is sending lawyers. Only lawyers are going to states where Trump lost. They're not going to states that he won. That doesn't seem exactly right to me.
Well, but I guess I would again. I voted for Trump, and I was a Trump supporter. But for me, it was something about much bigger than Donald Trump.
Well, I understand. I understand issues. I understand.
And I would have no problem with Trump losing if somehow there was evidence that it was a straight, clear, honest election. Now,
Ted, I want to ask Ted a question here because we only got about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Ted, was there any chance? Was there any chance on God's green earth that Donald Trump was going to lose this election in his eyes?
No, I tell you what, I know he is. I mean, he's pulling he's trying to say that the other night when he said that if the votes were legal. Or legitimate, he would win unanimously. But since there's some, the man has lost his mind.
Well,
personally speaking.
Well, that's one of the. I mean, isn't it a little hypocritical that every state had mail-in balloting? Why aren't lawyers? If he really believes the mail-in balloting was fake, why isn't he sending lawyers to every state?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not really sure. What is going to happen here? Because, whether people like it or not, if Biden wins Pennsylvania, which they probably will call today, he will be the president-elect. What do you think's going to happen? Are we going to have people protesting, rioting?
Oh, yes, without a doubt. And, people are really, really fearful of that aspect of the outcome altogether. I've heard people say, oh my goodness, they're going to, once they announce the winner, people are going to hide or stay sheltered up or something.
What do you think gave Joe Biden the edge in this election?
He sounded like he had a plan. He wasn't finger pointing nothing. And, they would like to believe corruption, but no. He's Well, I don't care about all that. He has a plan. He's been our vice president for 8 years, and nothing has been allocated okay, well, nobody never proved. Just like, show us the proof. There's no proof of it at all.
Son's laptop.
Okay, his son's laptop. That has nothing to do with the man himself.
Well, we should say that Trump has sent lawyers to Georgia and Michigan, and they've already been thrown out of court because they're not showing any proof.
Right, exactly.
So
I look for an overall win for Biden. That's what I'm looking forward to.
What do you make of the Republican Party this morning saying that, okay, we want legitimacy in this election, but show us this proof, President Trump. We want to see your proof.
They've washed their hands of all the allegations he's made. They don't want no part of it.
What do you make of that press conference yesterday? Everybody's saying that was one of the weirdest press conferences they've ever seen. Trump did seem a little subdued, kind of tired, and was reading off a piece of paper.
Well, I tell you, it's just all, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm 64 years old, soon to be 64, and I have never, in the history of voting, you see, my parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, and so I never voted up until, after my military stint in 1978. And to make a long story short again, Scott, I just don't like the political process that's going down now because it seems like as if, how you doing, man? Yeah. Man, I can't put a finger on it, but it's not going to be the brightest outcome for most people, what most people think. These Kamala Harris and Biden is the ticket. That's all I want to say for me. I'm not trying to persuade anybody else's thoughts about that, but I think I would like to see democracy put back together in a nutshell.
Final question, Ted. Because we're getting close to the end of this election, how would you describe how President Trump is handling what could be a defeat?
He's throwing a tantrum like if he did win, I would like to see how he withdraws from the states that he's alleging that have had false ballots and all of those things. I want to see how he doesn't want to leave. They may have to pull him out.
And what a drama that might be. I just hope that maybe we'll get a little peace once this thing is over.
I hope so too, Scott.
Ted,
America can go back to how we once remembered and knew it.
You're always a pleasure to talk to, Ted, and I will see you soon. Stay well.
Thank you, sir.